What if I told you that the most powerful longevity technology on the planet isn't locked away in a billion-dollar laboratory? What if it's not a newly synthesized pill, not a restrictively complex diet, and certainly not some futuristic biohacking gadget? What if instead the ultimate key to human health is rising right outside your window every single morning?
Ah, it sounds almost too simple to be true, doesn't it? We are so conditioned to look for complex medical solutions to aging and fatigue, but modern science is uncovering something genuinely extraordinary. For millions of years, the human brain, our hormones, our immune systems, and even our deep cellular repair mechanisms didn't evolve in a vacuum. They evolved under the strict, predictable, and inescapable rhythm of the solar cycle, sunrise and sunset.
Exactly. We tend to think of light as just illumination, a tool to help us see in the dark so we can keep working or scrolling. But what we're realizing now is that light is actually biological instruction. It is pure information. And modern civilization, with our midnight smartphones, neon lit cities, and 24-hour lifestyles, might have just taken a sledgehammer to that ancient biological orchestra almost overnight.
That is a perfect way to put it. We are essentially living out the greatest and perhaps most reckless circadian experiment in human history. We have disconnected ourselves from the very signal that tells our biology how to function.
Let's break down that orchestra, because I think people fundamentally misunderstand how their bodies operate. Most of us assume we get tired simply because we've been awake for a long time. We think of sleep as an empty gas tank. You drive the car until it runs out of fuel, and then you crash. But biologically, that's completely inaccurate, isn't it? Sleep, and energy for that matter, is actually governed by timing.
Precisely. The empty gas tank concept is only a fraction of the story. The much more powerful force at play is the clock. Deep inside the brain, there is a tiny, highly specialized cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN. Think of the SCN as the master conductor of your body's symphony. It tells the liver when to metabolize food, the heart when to lower blood pressure, and the immune system when to patrol for damage.
And what is this master conductor looking at to keep time? It's not looking at your wristwatch.
No, it is looking directly at the sun. The primary input for the SCN is light exposure, specifically the angle and intensity of morning sunlight entering your eyes. When those photons hit the retina, they send a direct electrical signal to the master clock, essentially hitting the start button on your entire biological day.
That blows my mind every time I think about it. We are literally reading photons to know how to exist. And this doesn't just stop at the brain, does it? It goes all the way down to the microscopic level, to our mitochondria.
Right, and this is where longevity science is getting incredibly exciting right now. We used to think of mitochondria simply as mindless little engines, the powerhouses of the cell, just churning out energy in the form of ATP. But they are so much more sophisticated than that. They are deeply connected to aging, oxidative stress, inflammation, and cellular resilience. And guess what? Modern research suggests that mitochondrial function strictly follows circadian timing.
So you're saying our cells are essentially solar powered? Not in the sense of a plant using photosynthesis, obviously, but in the sense that their daily schedule of producing energy and repairing damage is dictated by the sun?
Yes, that is exactly what the data is pointing toward. The efficiency of cellular energy production changes drastically across the day-night cycle. Morning light exposure anchors your rhythm. It optimizes the timing of your cortisol release so you feel alert, but it also sets a 12 to 14-hour timer for melatonin release later that night. If your mitochondria don't get that clear morning light signal, their energy production becomes chaotic.
Which brings us to the glowing elephant in the room. If our biology is desperately looking for light to tell it what time it is, what happens when we stare at a blue-lit smartphone at 1:30 in the morning?
It creates biological confusion on a massive scale. Artificial, blue-enriched light at night dramatically interferes with melatonin production, circadian timing, and sleep architecture. And I want to be clear here, blue light itself is not inherently toxic or evil. The sky is blue. Humans evolved to absorb massive amounts of blue light during the daytime. The poison is in the timing. We evolved to experience that light at noon, not at midnight.
It's like drinking a massive espresso in bed and wondering why you feel terrible the next day. By looking at that screen, you are essentially carrying artificial daylight into your bedroom. You are lying in the dark. but your brain thinks you're standing in the midday sun.
Very much so. And chronic circadian disruption doesn't just make you groggy. Over time, it severely affects metabolic health, insulin sensitivity, immune regulation, and mood. It accelerates long-term aging pathways because the body never fully shifts into its regenerative state.
But it's not just the nighttime disruption that fascinates me. There is another side to this coin that we rarely talk about. Modern humans face this bizarre dual problem. Not just excessive light at night, but insufficient light during the day.
I am so glad you brought that up. This is a crucial point. We spend enormous amounts of time indoors under dim artificial lighting. Biologically, this creates an extreme mismatch. The brain expects strong, bright daylight exposure during waking hours. To give you context, outdoor sunlight can be 100,000 lux of brightness. Your indoor office lighting might be barely 300 lux.
So the brain is waiting for this massive influx of bright daylight to know it's daytime, and instead it gets the biological equivalent of a cloudy twilight all day long. Some researchers are calling this circadian malnutrition, right?
Exactly. Circadian malnutrition. Without sufficient bright daytime light, the circadian signaling weakens, and emotionally, people feel it profoundly. Low energy, brain fog, poor motivation, a flattened mood. Light strongly influences serotonin and dopamine pathways. When you live in a perpetual state of dim indoor lighting, your nervous system never fully wakes up. And because it never fully wakes up, it can never fully power down at night.
It's a state of constant, low-grade physiological purgatory. That is a terrifying, yet incredibly accurate description of modern life. It makes me think about this emerging concept of photon timing. We are so obsessed with nutrition, what we eat and when we eat, but it sounds like when we absorb light and when we absorb darkness matters just as much.
It might be the foundational pillar of health. The body schedules its most critical biological processes according to circadian timing. This includes DNA repair, cellular cleanup, and mitochondrial maintenance. We always talk about melatonin as a sleep hormone, but that's a massive oversimplification. Melatonin is actually one of the most potent antioxidants and mitochondrial protectors in the human body.
So if you're scrolling through social media at midnight, you aren't just losing an hour of sleep. You are actively suppressing the exact hormone that repairs your DNA and protects your cells from aging. You are essentially firing your body's nighttime cleanup crew.
Beautifully said. Darkness itself is biologically necessary. It is a nutrient. Disrupting that timing repeatedly means those repair systems stall. Longevity doesn't simply depend on what we consume. It depends heavily on when our biology receives absolute darkness.
It's deeply ironic, isn't it? The modern biohacking culture is always searching for the next advanced technology. People will spend thousands of dollars on exotic supplements, hyperbaric chambers, cold plunges, and complex recovery gadgets, all while completely ignoring the most foundational biological signal of all.
It is the ultimate blind spot in modern health. People are trying to optimize their biology while living in circadian chaos. You cannot supplement your way out of a broken light environment. Biology still obeys ancient rhythms. If your mitochondria don't know what time it is, all the optimization stacks in the world won't save you. Light timing is foundational physiology.
It makes me wonder about the future of health intelligence. Right now, we have wearables that track our sleep stages and heart rates. But if light is the master key, shouldn't the future be about tracking light itself?
Absolutely. I believe the next evolution of health technology won't just be about tracking sleep, but tracking circadian stability. Future AI systems and wearables will help individuals understand their light exposure, timing, and how their nervous system recovers in real time. We will start seeing smart environments that automatically adjust lighting to match our biological needs, because the future of longevity depends entirely on restoring that natural rhythm.
To synchronize with nature again. It's a profound thought. We spend so much time trying to outsmart our biology, trying to hack our way around it, when the real secret to longevity is simply remembering who we are. Your body is not disconnected from nature. Your cells still recognize the sunrise. Your hormones still anticipate the darkness.
And your mitochondria still follow those ancient solar rhythms. Perhaps true longevity is not about escaping our biology through technology. Perhaps it is about finally learning to synchronize with it again.
a perfect reminder to step outside tomorrow morning and just look at the sky. The master key has been waiting for us all along.